and welcome to another episode of the Awesome in Seattle podcast. This is your host, Christian Nossum with the Awesome Nossum Group at Wilson Realty Exchange. And today we are talking about our 2026 Seattle area real estate market predictions. One of the best episodes of the year. Super fun. All right, so let me explain who we got with us. Let me introduce my fellow agents here on the Awesome Nossum Group. First, ladies first, of course.
I'm Joanna Beecher. Hello.
Hey, I'm Varun Jain.
And today we are going to go over all things real estate predictions. So we are going to go over who said what. We'll look at what Zillow, Redfin, National Association of Realtors, Fannie Mae, the Northwest MLS, basically every major data source. Whoever said a prediction, we gathered it. That was legit. There's a lot of people that made predictions, but we're like, who are you? You have no credentials. We're not going to pay attention to these.
Guys.
Yeah.
I love those guys.
We're going to see what the big theme is. And the biggest theme is this: no one is predicting a crash. So those crash bros out there that are always rooting for a crash, probably not going to happen. Very unlikely. It's always a possibility. Very small possibility, though. We're also not going to see a giant boom. But most likely, we're going to see a bit of a stall. More of the same-ish. So a lot of people are just waiting, buyers, sellers, investors, and we're going to break down exactly what's going on nationally, what's happening specifically for Seattle, where rates are likely headed. We're going to have Dan Keller with New American Funding join us, what investors should be doing, where some opportunities are, what end buyers, so normal buyers, should be targeting to make some money and have a better deal. And finally, we will give our own personal predictions and review our predictions from last year, which are very interesting. Very, very interesting. So stay for that. That's at the very end. So let's start big picture. Nationwide, this is kind of where it's kind of more of the same, what happened last year. So if you listen to our last episode, which was the 2025 real estate market recap episode, we talked about how nationally home prices went up around 1% to 2%, depending on what stats you were looking at and who you were listening to. So kind of the great stall. That's kind of more of the same that people are looking for this year. Sources like Zillow, Redfin, National Association of Realtors, Fannie Mae, they're all surprisingly aligned on that. They're all saying they expect home prices to raise, but just barely. Maybe 1%, maybe 2%, maybe even nothing. But they're not really going down. And if they do, again, maybe 1% or 2% down. Sales volume, they're expecting a little bit more sales volume, more than 2024 and 2025, but still well beyond our normal years where we have enough inventory to support the demand that's out there. What is causing this stall? Why is this happening? The big reason is mortgage rates are still in the low sixes. Sellers, there's still a lot of them that are locked into those 3% COVID year mortgage rates, interest rates, that just don't want to sell. They feel like they're handcuffed. They don't want to move, and they won't. So there's a lot of people that could sell but are choosing not to. And then buyers, they're just cautious about the economy, about the world, about their job security, and that's all understandable. So until they get some more confidence inside of themselves to make a move, they're just sitting on the sidelines. So with all of this, you're not getting a lot of momentum. You're getting a little more friction. There's not a lot of fear. It's just a lot of hesitation. So let's go over the Seattle specific predictions. Joanna, so Seattle always kind of plays by its own rules.
That's right.
We wear our own little beast. What are the quote unquote experts saying in the media about Seattle?
Well, they have been saying like Seattle maybe is up slightly, or Seattle lags national average, which, that's not a shock. We are surrounded by water and mountains. So, I guess that's technically true, but I think it needs some context, right?
Yeah.
For example, like Zillow's Seattle Tacoma Bellevue forecast actually shows slight softness. I don't even like saying that. Sometimes even small declines. And sure, I think that's where you need that context is like, but why? Where is that happening? And I think you could elaborate a little bit on that.
Yeah, I mean, Zillow's lumping Seattle, Tacoma, and Bellevue. So it's
very different.
And Everett in there as well. So a ton of suburbs, a ton of like a vast area.
That's huge. That's
Yeah.
like that.
That's a state. That's like the state of Delaware.
Yeah, that's a state. We don't care about the eastern state. No, but again, it's unfair to club these very different markets together, which operate in different price points. Like Seattle
Very.
is right around the $1 million mark, and Bellevue is around the $2 million mark. You would never club them together in the same data set.
And then you had
So it kind
Tacoma.
of creates a different take on 2026.
Yes.
Yeah, you throw Tacoma and Everett in there, and there's
So
two
we don't
different
like that, and
markets as
those
well.
are no.
Yeah.
We very much separate those here at this table
Yeah.
because it what makes sense
Well, just
to
for
our buyers.
And for clarity, like last year, Seattle single family homes went up 4.3%, percent and the east side went down a little more than 0.5%.
Exactly.
So
And
two
they're
different
just
markets.
very different buyers in each
Yeah.
of these spaces. So that's like putting them together is silliness in my mind. They're in the Pacific Northwest. So what? That doesn't
Right.
make a difference. But let's talk about like when you actually just bring Seattle core neighborhoods. Okay, what can we expect there? So flat, probably to maybe slightly up in pricing. Starting 2026 so far, we're already seeing certain homes that are just really coming out of the gate strong and having competitions with their offers. I do think, way more selectivity
Yeah.
is going to be important here, especially coming out of the 2025 market. I think buyers were coming into that market and they have just, I think the learning curve has, gotten better for them. So they know what to look for.
Yeah.
And, the homes that are just okay are going to sit.
Yeah.
And that's just continuing on, like that selectivity. If you're not hitting, those eyes aren't seeing it and the prices aren't right, it's going to sit. And then homes that are great, they move fast.
Yeah. And that's kind of the trend that we've seen basically forever. I mean, I've been doing this 21 years
It hasn't
now.
changed really.
It's always the same. A good house that's priced correctly generally sells quick, whatever that means, depending on the market. Quick could be a matter of 3 days. It could be 2 weeks if the market's super dead. So quick in relative terms.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's always been the case, and that will always be the case. It's just what is your market doing right this minute? And I mean, Varun, actually, all three of us have seen already. It's January 21st as the day that we are recording this,
Yeah.
and we've already seen a handful of listings that had multiple offers this year.
Yeah, like 7 offers, 9 offers, and very competitive. Like 100K over asking, 200K over asking, and to be honest, I wasn't expecting it to be that competitive coming out of 2025.
Yeah.
But we've hit the gates running in
Yes.
2026.
On the
Yes.
flip side of that, though, I still have clients that have gotten in on homes in different neighborhoods than what we're talking about, and it's not competitive. These homes have been sitting
Yeah.
because whenever they were listed for whatever reason, pricing, whatever it may be, the list can contain several different issues, but they missed the market, and now they're catching up, and there are still deals to be had right now. But
100%.
yeah.
Yeah, and that just goes to show you need to learn your market and have a fantastic agent on your team that can help you spot the opportunities and help you prepare for a potential competitive situation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Obviously, we pay attention to this a lot, so we would love to help you. Let's continue on with what we're seeing and what we're reading in some of these quote-unquote experts. So the Northwest Multiple Listing Service. So what that is, every agent almost in the entire state of Washington, every broker, I should say, belongs to the Northwest Multiple Listing Service. Every time we represent a seller, we get a listing. That's what that's called. We have to input that into the Northwest MLS. That is then distributed out to all the other websites that show homes for sale. If they are technically brokers themselves, they get a direct data feed. People that don't get direct data feeds, they don't always have the most up-to-date information. Anyway, what the Northwest MLS is saying, they are predicting that inventory will increase, that buyers will start to have a little more bit of options, and that pricing power is going to depend on execution. So kind of more of the same, what we just said as well. Let's talk rates. Dan, let's bring you on and have you explain kind of what your crystal ball is saying for 2026. I know you love to say crystal ball, so let's see what you have to say.
Hey, Christian and team, thanks for having me in to give you my, I don't love this word, but the crystal ball for 2026. I don't use the word crystal ball because I always use this analogy. If you were to go to a doctor and ask, and as you're heading into surgery, ask a physician, hey, if you had a crystal ball, how am I going to come out of this? The correct answer that I'm looking for in a physician, and this is what I believe you guys listening to this or watching this is looking for, is through hundreds of thousands or thousands of similar operations like this, here's what the data shows. Here's what I've seen as I've done shoulder replacement surgeries, right? That, hey, within 4 to 6 weeks, you're going to have X number range of motion, all of this good stuff. So relative to mortgage rates, 18 years in the mortgage industry, 3.5 recessions. I've seen a lot of markets very similar to this. This is what I know. I know that the market is super stable right now. This is good. We've seen rates in the low 6s now for almost 4 or 5 months. This is a good thing. Now, these are some things, instead of me predicting what 30-year fixed rates are going to do in 2026, I believe they're going to stay right around the same. I don't think there's anything crazy that's going to drop rates. I don't think there's anything crazy that's going to rise rates. Now, here's what you need to know, though. What could cause interest rates to drop? People are like, I'm holding out for 3% rates like we saw back in 2020. You'll be holding out for years, or better yet, you'll be holding out for another pandemic or a world war. That's really the two main things that drop interest rates. Now, or a natural disaster. Now, speaking of like world events, we got a lot going on in the world right now with other countries. Things like that could cause mortgage rates to drop a little, but not down into the 3s or the 4s. I think we're in a very stable range. A lot of the top 3 or 4 entities that I follow, Fannie Mae, Realtor.com, Mortgage Bankers Association, and MBS Highway with Barry Habib, all of them are predicting anywhere between 5.75 and 6.25 30-year fixed rates in 2026. And I'm right there. I think rates are going to stay right where they're at right now, but it's important to understand what could cause rates to drop. And that's what we talked about earlier. So bottom line, we've got stability in the markets, which is very healthy. I think we're going to see continued stability through 2026. It's a healthy market, and I'm seeing a lot. Just in the first quarter of 2026, we're seeing a lot more consumer confidence, which is really good, and stability breeds confidence. So I hope this was helpful, you guys. Thanks again for having me in to give my 2026 projections.
All right, so let's go over investor predictions for 2026. So what are investors kind of thinking and foreseeing, and what do you think is going to happen there? What strategies are going to work and just absolutely kill normal strategies? Yeah, so I think just to set the stage, right? In Seattle, we do see a lot of detached accessory dwelling units. This is like your backyard cottage or the mother-in-law suite. Most investors build a standard model, which is the ERES model, which is a 3 bedrooms, 2.5 bath with a 1-car garage, 1,000 square foot. Very easy, gets through permits faster. It's a known entity. Yeah, I do think you're going to see people move away from that. A couple of reasons for that. One, that 1,000 square foot still feels tight. And we've gotten feedback on that, but that's what's available today. That's what everyone's building. Seattle's also changed their code to allow for a bigger dado. Yeah. So we are now going to move towards the 1,200 square foot dado, which is more like a good size starter home. Yep. And I think we're going to see that. We're going to probably start seeing a lot more dados with 2-car garages, because people do want extra parking space, and that's been kind of one of the... And storage. And that's kind of one of the things that every investor's been hearing. Yeah. But now the code allows for that extra room. So I think we are going to see the ERES dado phase out and eventually just be like a dead plan. And we are going to see hopefully a new plan emerge that's more of like a bigger dado, more storage, more parking. Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree with you. I mean, we've both built the eras numerous times. And it, for 1,000 square feet, it was the best plan available if it fit on the lot. Now that the new rules in January 2026 changed for Seattle, now you can do 1,200 square feet. That plan just doesn't make the most sense.
Yeah.
Is it easy to customize a dadu build?
You can customize it. It's just how long does it take to get the permits?
Got it.
And so by building something that's a known entity for the city, like the same
just
plan over and over,
streamlined.
permits get streamlined much faster. And that's what happened with the eras.
That's exactly what happened with the eras.
And hopefully that'll happen with the new plan soon. We just don't know what that is yet. So
Yeah. And then the other big piece is the Seattle 1 plan, which increases density, adds a lot more options for investors, which also kind of leads to more competitions and more investors chasing the easy deal. We've seen an influx of newbie investors in the last couple of years who are trying to get the quick dadu play in and out, which has led to increase in prices of the dadu lots. We've talked about that in our previous episode as well. I think we're going to see more of that as well. So for investors, it'll be very critical to keep an eye on these opportunities as they come through, underwrite them carefully, make sure your ARVs are pretty tight.
I'd say to piggyback on that too, on the One Seattle plan, now you are allowed to build 4 units, potentially 6 units on any lot in Seattle. Depending on if you're close to transit, you can do 6 units, or if you add affordable housing. Just because you can build, we talk about this all the time. Just because you can build 4 or 6 units doesn't mean you should.
Right. Like, I think a lot of the buyers, and we talk about how buyers are getting more sophisticated.
Yeah.
A lot of the buyers don't like the shared walls anymore. So if you have like a 6-unit play, but it is 3 duplexes or 2 3-packs, then the shared wall issue comes up again, and that kind of could kill your deal.
Yeah.
So be smart about what you're doing. The other aspect to building density is dadus are easier to build because you can tie into existing utilities. As you add more units, the city can then force you to upgrade utilities on the lot, on the street.
Yeah.
And that adds up very quickly. If you didn't underwrite that, or your deal did not have enough margin, you could be either breaking even, worst case scenario, you will be in the red.
I mean, you had a situation where you wanted to build a new house on a lot, and they wanted you to update the entire water line for how many feet?
They wanted me to update the 8-inch water line and pull it up to half the way up the block. And it was 190 feet. And the city quoted about $1,500 a linear square feet. That's just under $300,000. And that
Just
killed
to
the
replace
deal.
the water line.
Oh my God.
And that, so assumption is if your water lines needs update, I'm guessing the sewer also needs update. So those costs will add up very fast. So just be careful about knowing these upfront. Luckily, like that is a house that I already own. It's a rental. I was going to think about demoing it and building something, and I didn't have to kind of get under contract. But this is the thing you want to look out for before you get under contract.
I want to say something quickly that I think investors should also be thinking about as buyers become more savvy and really knowing what they want. It's that lifestyle piece that we talked about.
Yep.
There are more dogs in the city than kids.
Yeah.
Yes,
It's
that
so
is
true.
And green space is so important. It's like one of the top things on the list that all of my buyers are looking for, which is why those apartment style condos are just not a lot of people want them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a non-starter for most people.
So I think that's, maybe a shared wall, like a townhome situation, if there's a little bit of green space that can be their own, that is a game changer.
We joke about it all the time, but I think it's with a grain of truth in there. If you don't have to put on your pants to let your dog out, go to the bathroom.
It's the biggest.
We're not
It's
joking.
amazing.
That's really what we hear people say.
Yeah.
Why do you think I bought a house this year?
Yeah,
Or,
exactly.
sorry, 2025.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a big
No,
piece.
that's true.
Yeah.
The third thing for investors, on-market deals are back. I bought a few last year for myself and for my investors. I think that's going to happen again in 2026 as buyers are still a little hesitant jumping in on a lot of the deals. And so keep an eye out on the market. It's not necessarily that good deals are coming through the off-market pipeline. Look at on-market listings as well. The last thing I'd add is if you're buying off-market deals, pay close attention for the new Washington rules. We did a podcast episode 152, about wholesaling in Washington state and how those rules are changing. So if you're going to buy
Something
an
off-market.
off-market, make sure everything is done correctly and all the paperwork is in line so that the seller doesn't just walk away from the deal after you spent 1, 2, 3 months working on that deal.
And a bunch of money, most likely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about a normal home buyer and what everyone is predicting for that. So Joanna, I'm going to throw this to you.
Yep.
What are we expecting for a normal, quote unquote normal, just a regular old home buyer? What are they expected to see happen in 2026?
I do want to say, I think right out of the gate, I think a lot of the buyers I was talking to were really excited.
Yep.
I think how quickly that has tapered to being a little bit more nervous, like within weeks, is just indicative what's happening globally.
Totally, yeah.
Economy-wise, potential wars, inflation, and there is that looming uncertainty, and I think that's very important to pay attention to because we all feel it. But what I do think would be great is when we do see some stabilization, hopefully it's right around the corner, I think that will increase our buyers' confidence. And
Yes.
I think buyers will very much feel strongly about coming back and getting into the market, which you should, I think, as soon as you can. But yeah, so some of, for the first-time home buyers, the best targets in 26 are starter homes. I did one of those in 2025. It's a great option. Townhomes. I mean, you can get some really solid deals on some townhomes in a lot of different neighborhoods right now.
Yes.
We talked about this in the last
Some
episode.
of our hottest neighborhoods.
Yeah, some townhomes for some reason are not as desirable.
They really stalled out,
And they completely stalled and actually went down in value in Seattle.
which is kind of mind-blowing.
Yeah, so you can get some deals on townhomes in a fantastic walkable neighborhood.
Yeah. For very affordable. I mean, shockingly affordable.
Yes,
So
fantastic deals. So definitely keep an eye on that.
Yeah, if you're a
Yes.
home buyer looking for just a first-time home and you don't actually need that green space that we talked about and you're okay buying a townhome because you want to start building equity, townhome or a condo in a right neighborhood is a great starting point because those values right now in Seattle are very suppressed.
the cool thing about some of the townhomes that don't have technically green space, yard space, a lot of them have rooftop decks.
That's true.
And you know, if you're a dog person and you can get your dog to go on a
pee pad thing.
pea pad or
Or the grass.
fake grass or real
Yeah.
grass that you can get delivered, great option.
Yeah, totally agree. There are some deals there for sure.
There are. So another one to kind of look into a bit more seriously is the detached additional dwelling unit, the backyard cottage.
The dadoos.
I very strongly agree with this. I think you can get some really solid deals on that. Look in Magnolia. Not only there, they're in a lot of
everywhere,
places,
yeah,
but
like-
there's one specifically I'm thinking of right now. And then, looking for house hack opportunities. Like a lot of our clients, Varun helped our Seattle front page.
Seattle
client.
Times front
Celebrity
page.
client.
Yeah,
Edwin.
I mean, there's good deals out there to be had in that way.
Yeah, and if you want to learn about that, he was the front page of Seattle Times. I think the article was titled like "How Gen Z Buyers Are Buying Homes in Seattle." Something similar to that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, these offer flexibility, and there is a long-term upside to those as well. So now if you're buying for the second time, third time, you can afford to be a bit more picky, right? Well, you're already in a home, so you can take your time. You don't feel as strapped to maybe stop paying rent or something. You don't feel as pressured to being able to customize your own space. But you want to know your buy box really well as well, which is also helpful when you have a knowledgeable agent on your side. The good thing to know is also when you have all of that clarity, you need to be prepared because you got to jump on that when you see it come your way.
And
Do
we
your
did
homework.
we did just record a podcast, one of the I don't know, I think it might have been the last one or 2 or 3 episodes right before this, where we talk about how to buy and sell your house at the same time. So how to move up, how that logistically works, because it is complicated. It can be complicated. There are some really solid options out there, but you got to prepare ahead of time. So definitely reach out.
Episode 154.
Episode 154. Thank you. How to buy and sell your Seattle home at the same time.
Without losing sleep.
Without losing sleep. That's the title.
Yes.
So yeah, check that out because there are some great opportunities to do that successfully and less stressfully because it can be, there's a lot more moving pieces and you got to plan ahead. So definitely reach out and we can help come up with a game plan for you to do that successfully.
Something cool that we're seeing coming from 2025 into 2026 is like more friends buying together. We have an episode in our podcast about, you know, you don't have to be married. You don't have to be in a relationship with someone. You can like get into a home with a friend. That is 100% doable. We're also seeing a lot of unmarried buyers, like, you know, marriage is on its way out. I'm just kidding. I don't know that. I'm not predicting that. But like
Joanna's prediction, marriage is on the way out.
Oh my God, it's so old school, guys. As I'm married. But we are also seeing one of my favorite categories is single female buyers. I know I am not one, but I feel very, very proud to see a lot of women feeling like they have the ability and confidence to move forward and buying their own home. And that's nationwide. That's not just in Seattle, but I have had some fabulous female buyers that are single and they got some great homes, by the way. And then more intentional house hacking, which I think is awesome. The trend is not slowing down.
No. And we've been preaching this for years. I mean, you can listen back to my Seattle real estate radio days, which was AM radio way back in the day. And
He was a pioneer, folks.
back in the day. We've been talking about that for years. We've been talking also about buying in the path of progress and how that is so important to help your entire neighborhood increase in value, which is going to help bring up your home value because of other improvements going on in the area.
Absolutely.
You were just talking about Tukwila, how it's going to be one of the FIFA
I'm going to talk
World
about it
Cup.
again.
Oh, cool. And how, but I think that's going to actually help the whole neighborhood home value go up as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Very exciting.
Okay, so let's talk about our personal predictions. This is the best part, in my opinion, because it's really fun. Before we give our 2026 predictions, let's look back at what each of us predicted in 2025.
Oh, God.
So we're not lying about these. You can look at our 2025 or listen to our 2025 prediction episode to verify that these are the correct numbers that we predicted. So Varun, you said Seattle home prices would increase 5 to 8%. That North Seattle / Northeast Seattle would be the hottest market. And you were 100% correct.
Nailed it.
Good job. So again, home prices, single family homes did go up 4.3%. There was a little weirdness in those numbers because that did not include DADUs or ADUs because technically those are condos. We did look at that, and you can look back at our previous episode or listen to our previous episode and understand how we came up with those numbers. So I think it was actually more like 5%-ish.
Sure. Yeah.
If not more.
But yeah, that makes sense because again, also my prediction was based on where do we see larger lots and where is new construction happening. I just went at it from a very investor and data-driven approach.
Yep, and you were 100% correct. North Seattle, Northeast Seattle went up 8% last year, which was the hottest market in Seattle.
Yep.
Boom.
Joanna, you predicted a 6% increase, so you were pretty dang close as well.
Close-ish.
Yeah. You said the hottest markets would be West Seattle and Burien, and they did go up quite a bit. They weren't the hottest, but they were very hot. I predicted 5 to 7%. I also said North Seattle would be the hottest, and I also said Magnolia, which was number 2.
Yeah, I was about to say, solid.
I also threw out the anywhere you can build a Dadu lot, which was also very, very true.
Oh my God, Dadu lots were overbid all over the place.
They went just ridiculously over in a lot of cases, and some investors probably either made no money or lost money because they overpaid for a house that you could build a Dadu in the backyard or side yard or whatever. Yeah. Dan predicted rates would be at the end of 2025 5.75 to 6.25%. He was dead on. They ended right a little over 6%, a little under 6.25. So he was actually pretty accurate. All right, so now we're going to do our predictions. So nationwide, what are you guys thinking is going to happen with real estate prices overall? We'll start with Joanna.
Oh man. Okay. I think the inventory is going to go up a little bit, but I don't see a huge growth. You know, you said stall a bunch, and I agree with that. Just because of everything that's going on geopolitically, I think that's going to play a major part into it. I would say it may grow 2 to 3% nationally.
Varun?
I'm going to say nationally, it's probably going to grow 1 to 2%. My rationale behind that is we have so much leftover inventory from 2025. It's going to take some time for all the sellers to kind of get through that inventory, especially some markets are struggling more than the others. So 1 to 2% is where I think we'll be nationally.
Yeah, that's actually what I was going to say too. 1 to 2%. Like Dave Meyer, who I think I can consider a friend. I've talked to him numerous times. We did an Instagram that will be posted on Bigger Pockets soon, where he came to our house and we talked. He has talked about the Great Stall a lot. He talked about it as the keynote during the Bigger Pockets Real Estate Investor Conference in Las Vegas back in, I think it was October. And I kind of buy into everything that he talks about. So if you want to hear more about that, you can also, he recorded a whole podcast episode on that on his Bigger Pockets on the Market podcast. So go check that out. He talks about his 2026 predictions in there. Okay, let's go Seattle. Joanna, what do you think is going to happen with Seattle home prices?
I think the home prices in the Seattle specific market are probably, I think they're going to go up. I'm going to go 2%.
2%. Okay.
I'm going to be a little more aggressive at Seattle. I'm going to say it's going to be probably in the 4 to 6% range.
I am also going to go more higher.
10%.
97%. No, I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be in the 5 to 6%, similar to what happened in 2025. Partly just because of what we've seen in the first 3 weeks of January, I should say. Yeah. The last 2 weeks, so the second and third week of January, we've seen so much competition. All of a sudden, home prices are going. Also, what we're seeing in terms of home buyer classes. So dating all the way back to October and November, we had packed classes, 30, 40, 50 people in a class, standing room only. And that is kind of the bleeding edge of what home buyer confidence is feeling like. You can't really get that anywhere else. And so when you have a room packed like that, that's telling me and us that there are a lot of buyers out there that are pretty sure they're going to buy at some point in the near future.
Yeah. We had 42 in the last class. It was crazy.
42 in January.
Packed.
So packed. So because of that, I think Seattle's going to continue to stay strong. I just don't see it slowing down anytime soon. We just don't have enough space, and we don't have enough inventory, and we have a lot of very well-paid people that are continuing to move here.
Yes.
We still have one of the strongest economies in the entire nation.
Yeah.
We have a broad economy too. It's not just tech, even though everyone tends to think of just Amazon and Microsoft. It is widespread. We still have Boeing. We have Nordstrom. We have Starbucks. We have so many different companies that are headquartered here. Costco, It's not just one thing. It's so varied. And that has not always, but in the last 20 years, really helped our economy become kind of the jewel of the nation, and helped us stay afloat, even during recessions and stuff. So
I will add, weather also helps. It's not harsh at all.
Yeah.
Mild winters, very easy summers. It's not gray all the time, like people say. It's nice.
But we tell people it's gray all the time so they don't all move here. Because once they come here, they're like, oh, man, this is beautiful.
Great. Yeah, quite.
Clean air.
It's terrible. It's so
exactly.
gray
It rains every day.
Rainy.
I'm going to put a caveat as well on mine in that this is really going to be interest rate driven, what happens. President Trump wants interest rates for housing to go down. In May, Jerome Powell's term is up. Trump is going to put a new person that he wants installed. That does not mean that they control mortgage interest rates, but it's another voice that is going to do kind of his bidding. Whatever he wants to have done, he will try to get done. But that one Fed chair is not the only person on the Fed that helps make those decisions. So there's numerous people on that panel that are not necessarily all going to agree with the Fed chair. So we'll see what happens there. Also, it will depend on what happens with quantitative easing. Like the government has said that they are going to continue or start doing that. And when that happened during COVID, home prices skyrocketed, mortgage rates went down quite a bit, and buyers came out of the woodwork and just started buying, and home prices went up, 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 up. So it could even go more than 5-6%.
I don't want that to happen.
Yeah,
I don't either. I don't want that to happen at all. But that's what Trump wants. And so depending on what happens, that could be a factor. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens. I mean, it's always a wild ride.
Can I ask you guys something?
Sure.
Because I just want to make sure that as I want to talk about it, what do you guys think the up and coming markets in Seattle are?
I think a lot of the opportunities are going to continue to be where you can add value. This has always been the case, and it will always continue to be the case. So that could mean a house that needs a lot of work done that maybe hasn't been touched in 40, 50 years that, needs to be updated. Or it could be...
My house. Go on.
Yours has 100% been touched lately.
Yes, it's lovely.
Your 3D tile in the shower is amazing.
Oh. And it hurts me.
And it hurts you sometimes. The other opportunity is obviously the same as last year, DADU lots, ADU lots, the new housing laws that allow in Seattle and really across the state, you can have at least 2 units per lot. Some places you can have 4, some places you can have 6 units. So
pressure. Give me one neighborhood.
One neighborhood?
Yeah.
I'm going to stick with my neighborhood of Northeast Seattle.
Okay.
I
Varun?
think there's still a lot of room to grow there.
My
One
neighborhood
neighborhood.
would be West Seattle, and I'll cheat a little bit, Beacon Hill. So that south of downtown portion of Seattle, I think that's where you're going to see a lot more.
So where mine is Delridge specifically and South Park.
Yeah.
In the Seattle more city area, suburb, Tukwila.
Selfishly
Union,
chosen.
SeaTac, yeah.
Tukwila. And I think Linwood too. I think where the light rail is heading in the north area. I think
it's already there.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
And it's growing.
Yeah,
So
and it's super popular. Again, this
is.
we're following without literally saying it, but the path of progress. That is where growth continues to happen. So along the light rail line, anywhere that there's major capital infrastructure improvements happening, those are the areas where home prices tend to follow because people want to live there. It's so much more livable. The lifestyle thing, like we talked about before, increases a lot. It's just a more enjoyable place to live. So more people live there, more demand, prices go up. That's just how it works.
Yep.
Okay. Good one to throw at us as a curveball, Joanna.
You're welcome, guys.
So if there's one big takeaway, it's that 2026 is going to be not just a simple market, but more of a thinking person's market. You really got to think about it. Your strategy matters. The design of your plan matters. Really understanding your buy box, where you want to be, what your price point is, what neighborhoods specifically, are there major streets you want to avoid? Like all of these things definitely come into your plan of what you want to do. We love to help buyers figure this out. We love to help sellers figure this out, especially sellers that are doing the move up, which we have helped so many people just recently over the last year become first-time sellers and buying that next property. People that I helped, 15 years ago or something like that, or 5 years ago, they're all coming out of the woodwork all of a sudden, wanting to make that next jump. So if that's you, definitely reach out. All of our contact information is right on our website, awesomenossum.com. For those of you who won't be on the sideline and actually wants to do something, you should just come to our home buyer class.
Yeah.
Again, they're totally free. beersandhomebuying.com. It's a 1-hour class. Then we do some Q&A at the end. So at the end of the day, it's maybe an hour and 20 minutes, give or take, long. There's free beer, free non-alcoholic drinks. Some venues have food, some don't. Everything is free that we include. So there's no pressure at these classes. It's super laid back. We just want to help you succeed and make a decision. And we have reinvented the way that home buying happens. We did this a few years ago. And ever since we did that, our home buyers have had so much more success because we broke away from the standard way of doing things that everyone else follows. And we created our own roadmap for success. And it works so well. And we have hundreds of people, at this point, thousands of people that we have successfully helped down this new path. So if you are hoping to buy this year, please come to one of our home buyer classes or just reach out and we can talk you through things too. That's it. Any last thoughts on your guys' end?
No.
2026, let's go.
Let's go. It's going to be a fun year. It's going to be an exciting year. There's going to be a lot of change happening. So continue to listen to this podcast. We will always update you on whatever changes are happening and how it could affect you. But that's it for this episode of the Awesome in Seattle podcast. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.